Hello, scientists in the fifth grade. This is Mr. Page. Today, we're going to be going over a lesson regarding our solar system and the planets. We live in the Milky Way galaxy. It is a spiral galaxy, as you can see from the diagram here, probably taken from the Hubble telescope. And the Earth, as you can see by the circle, is located in the Orion star cluster. I gave you an arrow there to point it out. That's where we live in the Milky Way galaxy. We're just a little dot in this huge array of stars and planets and solar systems. We're not the only solar system in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, there are 8 planets in our solar system. And the way that we arrange these um, is by their order in their orbit. I like to memorize them based on a acronym or a mnemonic device, and think it sounds like alien talk, and it is MVEM JSON. MVEM JSON. And if you want to memorize the order of the planets from the sun, if you memorize this mnemonic device, this acronym, you will have it on lockdown. Starting with MVEM. M, the first M stands for Mercury. The next one is Venus. The third rock from the sun is Earth. And then Mars. And I have a hyphen here, and I'll explain why that hyphen is there in just a minute. The next planet is Jupiter. Then Saturn with its rings. Uranus also has a ring. And then Neptune. And there was a ninth mass in our solar system that used to be considered a planet, and that was Pluto. But for various reasons, which you'll learn later, that one was uh, not considered a planet. And so we really have 8 planets in our solar system. There are 2 categories of planets: the terrestrial planets, which make up the acronym MVEM. So that would be Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And then we have the Jovian planets. And the Jovian planets are broken down into 2 subsets. The first subset is the gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn. And the second subset would be the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. What is their composition? The terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, MVEM. They're made of rocky material. That's why they're called terrestrial. Their surfaces are solid, very few moons, and they're relatively small compared to the Jovian planets. The Jovians are named after Jupiter, and Jupiter is the first planet in the Jovian planet array. First, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These are called the Jovian planets. Jovian. And they're in the outer solar system. Now, the composition of the Jovian planets, they have multiple moons. They have no solid surface. Remember, they're gas giants or ice planets. They support ring systems and they are immense in size, immense compared to the first four planets in the terrestrial series. The gas giants, these are comprised of Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is the largest planet, and these gas giants are predominantly made up of helium and hydrogen as far as the mass of the planets. Saturn, of course, has rings, and we'll talk about what makes up those rings in just a minute. The largest planet of all of the eight is Jupiter. It's the largest planet. So, by comparison, here you have on the far left the Sun, and then you have Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And look how small the Earth is compared to Jupiter or Saturn or any of the Jovian planets. Look at the first terrestrial planets and compare them in size to the Jovian planets. As I said earlier, the terrestrial planets are much smaller by comparison. Take a look. Jupiter is the gas supergiant. Jupiter is our largest planet. There is a constant solar storm on Jupiter. It is as large as the Earth, and the red arrow points to and circles that large solar storm. It's been a huge, huge storm swirling and swirling forever. Jupiter is actually 1,300 times bigger than the Earth, 1,300 times larger than the Earth. And in the diagram, the picture, you can see the Earth on the right there and compare it to the size of Jupiter. Look at the difference. Jupiter is 1,300 times larger. So we could fit 1,300 Earths inside of Jupiter. Imagine that. Jupiter is predominantly helium and hydrogen, as is Saturn, the gas giants. Helium and hydrogen, gas. These are both gases. Now we come to the ice giants. We're moving further and further out into our solar system, further and further orbits out into our solar system. The ice giants are Uranus and Neptune. Now, they contain rock, ice, and a mixture of water, methane, and ammonia. Probably why they have a blue hue to them because of the ammonia. We're going to learn something really interesting about Uranus in a minute. Saturn is known for its rings made of ice and rock. And the width of these rings is about the distance between the Earth and the Moon. It's about 82,000 kilometers or 175,000 miles. That's a lot of rings of ice and rock. And here's a picture of what it might look like. These rings, although they are very expansive in terms of their width, their height is only about 0.62 miles or 62 hundredths of a mile thick. But then there's one ring, then there's another and another and another. 175,000 miles wide these rings span. But they're only 0.62 miles high in their thickness. Now, what is unique about the planet Uranus? Uranus, if you look at the picture, it rotates on its side. So it's like flipped on its side. The ring doesn't look like the horizon, it's actually vertical. That whole planet, for some reason, and you'll learn that in physics, has been flipped on its side. It also has rings, as you can see, but they are not as dominant as Saturn's rings. It looks like it has just a few bands of rings around it, whereas Saturn has many, 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 many 175,000 miles wide. Earth is known as the Goldilocks planet. Why is that? Well, it's because the sun is not too close, not too far. It's just right to establish life. And it is known as the blue planet, Earth. And that's because of all of its water. You know, the Earth is 75% water, both salt and fresh water. And of course, that includes its glaciers. Well, I hope you learned something new in this lesson. That's it for this time. Feel free to watch this lesson again if you need to. Stop it as many times as you need to take notes. And be sure to complete the assignments associated with this lesson. And remember, learn something new every day. Up next, we are going to take a spiral review of our content for this year, going all the way back to the periodic table. And we will spiral for the next 3 weeks up to what we have learned in the last couple of months to tie up all of our science content for fifth grade and to prepare you for a super fantastic, successful sixth grade. I miss you guys. I love you. And I can't wait to see you again in the hallways of Eisenhower.